All right, how do you think she's doing? Let us know. We are paying close attention on social media, and wow, we know that you have an opinion. Let's find out what our guest has to think about all of this. Joining us this hour, criminal defense attorney Sam Bassett. So what kind of grade would you give lawyer Lori in her cross-examination? Today is day 2 of all this. She kind of, I don't know, flutters a little bit, laughs under her breath, and then kind of loses her train of thought.
Well, she's articulate and polite, so that's a passing grade. I'm not clear what her strategy is. She seems to be just having the witness reiterate facts that will actually help his credibility. I think she was trying to do something with time of death and lividity, but I'm not real clear how that went, if any message got across. So as with many lay people who try to represent themselves, it's a real struggle to effectively and thoroughly cross-examine if you're not trained or experienced. She does seem very confident in herself, and that could ultimately work against her in the jury's eyes.
And that's what bothered me, Sam, is the cross-examination. If you're trained as a lawyer, you know that it's not about the answer. It's about the question. You want to word your question so the jury's hearing what you're saying, and you don't ask anything you don't know the answer to. I feel like instead she's asking question after question. She has no idea what the answer is. Then she's listening and trying to figure out, Sam, the next question. It's just not how a trial attorney trained to try a case would do cross-examination, quite frankly.
I agree. I think a lot of open-ended questions she was asking are totally ineffective and actually counterproductive for her case. You want to control the witness in cross-examination. You want to testify and just have the witness occasionally join in with a yes or a no. That's the basic cross-examination we are all trained in. She asked a lot of questions about why, or why did you do this? Or, you know, it's just obviously she's untrained, and she seems to be just proud of being on the stage a little bit. At least that's her manner, and that would concern me if I were her attorney.
Right, and asking so many questions.
So what would you clean up if you were the state of Arizona in this particular instance? What stood out to you? Because we know that there's going to be a redirect. Spoiler alert, we're on a 30-minute delay. But what would you clean up?
Maybe the time of death and the lividity issues, to try to establish that the witness is going to testify in a narrative that's consistent with your case and the state's case. I don't know that I would have redirected, but I'm not as versed in the case as the prosecutor, so I will trust their judgment.
And it's interesting you say that, Sam, because the prosecution at the end of direct ended with exactly the point they wanted to make. The testimony was there was no CPR prior to the fire department arriving, and so that couldn't have been the cause of death because it hadn't even happened yet. Right. And that, to me, is where you end it. But we're going to do this. Stay with us, Sam. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to have more of the cult mom conspiracy trial for the defendant, Lori Daybell, including redirect by the state. Stay tuned. Still with us, criminal defense attorney Sam Bassett. Sam, I was on the edge of my seat waiting to talk to you because the thing I noticed about those jury questions, 2 things. Number one, I'm shocked that they've leaned into all of these questions about, well, did you administer these meds? And did you patch in medical authority? Is that a possibility? But number 2, to me, it indicates that somebody on that jury must have some kind of medical knowledge to ask these particular questions.
Yes, obviously those aren't typical questions for the average person to ask. It is somebody with medical knowledge. And I agree with your assessment. I was a little surprised that they're going down the road of why didn't you try other medication therapy to get the heart going again. It seemed obvious in the testimony that it was a lost cause at that point. But sometimes people just want to ask the questions just to cover all the bases. And it was surprising a little bit that the prosecutor took as much time as she did to go over that topic.
Yeah, that's what I was speaking of earlier. You know, I just thought that the redirect was so lengthy where it could have been just in and out, but I wrote down the cross was apparently effective. because the jury is shifting their focus from the fact that Charles Vallow was killed by gunshot, and they're now thinking about, well, could that have also been impacted by the treatment?
That's a good point. What do you think, Sam?
I think everybody's just being awfully thorough and detailed and careful. My style sometimes is, if something's not worth emphasizing, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. Let's move on. It's obvious that he died of something, a gunshot wound. But different lawyers have different approaches. So.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, Matt, I do feel like both sides are fairly long-winded in their questioning at this point. Maybe that will change. Maybe that will be the method to the madness throughout this trial. Thank you, Sam Bassett, for joining us this hour. I always appreciate your expertise.